Councilman
Public comment.
No public comment.
Okay, great. Then we'll move to, we're going to be recessing to closed session. And Lena, can you please cover the items we'll be discussing during closed session?
Item number 1, the City Council will confer with its labor negotiator with respect to labor negotiations pertaining A, to memorandum of understanding on behalf of part-time employees, B, MOU on behalf of mid-management and non-management full-time employees, and C, compensation and benefits for the unrepresented full-time executive management employees. Item number 2, existing litigation, one case from the Earth LLC versus City of Commerce. Item number 3, the City Council will confer with its real property negotiator with respect to real estate negotiations with A, Craig Realty Properties located on Tube Bay and Telegraph Road, and B, various parties to 2535 Commerce Way, Commerce, California.
Thank you, Lena. And at this time, we'll go to the chambers. Yeah, to the conference room. Thank you.
Through C, on this matter, the City Council received a briefing from the city's negotiator, Mr. Cisneros. The City Council provided direction, but took no action required to be reported at this time. As to item 2, on this matter, City Council received a briefing from staff. City Council provided direction, but took no action required to be reported at this time. As to item 3, only 3A was discussed. Item B was not discussed. As to item 3A, on this matter, the City Council received a briefing from the city's negotiator, Mr. Cisneros. The City Council provided direction, but took no action required to be reported at this time. That concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, legal counsel. And at this time, we're going to call the regular meeting of the City Council to order. And if I can have everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance by our Director of Transportation, Mr. Ferguson. And also please remain standing for our invocation by our Councilwoman Oralia Rebollo. Thank you.
Sounds good. Right hand over your heart, please. Ready, begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, we thank you for the ability to lead this community. We thank you for the position that we are in is one that we hold very respectfully. And we ask, Lord, that you continue to guide us to make the best decisions for our community. And Lord, we ask that at this time that you be with those families that are grieving, that you be with those families that are rejoicing. And in particular, Lord, we ask that you be with Braylon, with Ariel, with Cynthia, and with the Minor family, with Christopher Minor's friends, family, as they are grieving through this time. And we thank you, Lord, for the life of Christopher Minor and for the service that he paid to this country. And we ask that you please continue to bless all those that live in the City of Commerce and work in the City of Commerce. We ask this in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Yes. All right, thank you. And let me go back because I bypassed our roll call. Thank you, Councilmember Linus, for bringing that to my attention. Can we have roll call, please?
And we have 2 council agendas. One is a special agenda too. So we'll do
Yes,
the
so let me
concurrent.
call the concurrent special city council meeting to order as well.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Linus.
Here.
Councilmember Iborio.
Here.
And Mayor Guimada.
Here. And at this time, we'll move to public comment. And I do see a card here. We have, just one card. Mark Jimenez, please come on up.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. It brings me great joy and privilege to address you all this evening. For those of you who may not know or familiar with me, my name is Mark Anthony Jimenez. Some of you may remember me as a young student who attended Rosa Park Elementary School, or perhaps being a dedicated member of various youth and teen clubs, as well as serving as a recreation and a senior recreation leader for the City of Commerce. Additionally, I had the privilege of becoming Young Man of the Year 2016. I share all these experiences with you to emphasize how deeply connected I am with the City of Commerce. It holds a special place in my heart. You may be wondering why I'm here today. Well, as time went on, I had to embrace adulthood and eventually take responsibilities that came with it. Eventually, I found myself working as a local government employee. Just last week, like in any municipality city, we adopted the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Let me tell you, it's no easy task, especially when you're part of the Public Works Department. However, that doesn't explain why I'm here tonight. I have 2 reasons for being here. Firstly, the City of Commerce Council plans to adopt a budget tonight, and I kindly request that you consider allocating funds for the Miss Commerce Young Man of the Year pageant. You might be wondering, why is this important? Well, growing up in the city, I was a bit of an oddball, to say the least. However, I look forward to seeing many people of my friends compete in the pageant, both men and women. Witnessing the growth and unity that developed among the participants was truly heartwarming. The best part about it was the recruitment process, where I would enthusiastically encourage all my friends to apply for the pageant. I would constantly post and send text messaging urging them to submit their applications. The Miss Commerce Young Man of the Year pageant has built an exceptional reputation in our city, and it's crucial that we continue to support it. Now on to my second reason. I'm requesting that City Council entrust me with spearheading the upcoming Miss Commerce pageant. The reason behind it is quite simple. Over the past years, I have attended and developed healthy relationships with other city pageants, showing my support by attending events such as Miss Santa Fe Springs, Southgate, Artesia, Temple City, and Bellflower, to name a few. Surprisingly, I have not come across any fellow residents of the City of Commerce at these gatherings. With my experience and connections, I am confident in orchestrating a remarkable event. I aim to introduce new elements and extend invitations to our neighborhood cities to attend. Moreover, I understand the importance of budgeting and to have the knowledge to manage it efficiently. Tonight, I'm asking all of you to provide direction to the city manager, allowing me to present my vision for Miss Commerce Young Man of the Year 2.0. This will include a cost analysis, a time for pageant, recruitment strategies, and engaging the younger generations. I hope to be included on the agenda in the upcoming months and present my proposal to the city council. Of course, I would seek the approval of the pageant steering committee before I present it to all of you. It would be great if I can also align our efforts with the Parks and Recreation Department. Thank you so much for your time, and if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, no additional public comments, correct? Lena? Okay, and we'll move to consent calendar. We have items 1 through, wow, 11, okay. Okay, 1 through 11. So unless there's any comments or questions, and I believe there may have been some questions. So I'm going to pull item number 11 for some questions, I believe, that we may have there. And I would like to also pull item number 7 for questions also. So unless there's any other questions on any of the other items, a motion would be in order to approve the remaining items on the...
Mr. Mayor, if there aren't any other questions or any of my colleagues wishing to pull in items, I would move to approve items number 1 through 6, 8, 9, and 10.
So I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 There's
All right.
actually 2 on the special, Mayor, so if we're gonna dive into the special, there's 2 items on consent.
So
It's
I would
1 and
include
2.
in my
I-
motion to include,
Can I go
I
ahead
would
and
just do a
just...
separate motion if
Yeah,
that's okay.
Okay.
let's do separate, because I
Okay.
believe that I want to make sure we give enough time for us to consider the other 2 items. So let's go ahead and address these, and then we'll move to the other agenda, okay? So we have a motion and a second, and I believe everybody was in favor. Was there any objections? Okay, seeing none, motion passes, and we're done with these items here. So let's bring the other agenda now, and we've got, we're on consent calendar, and we're on item number 1, which would be the annual appropriations limit for the fiscal year 2023-2024. And I'd like for you to, just for the benefit of anybody listening in and for the benefit of the public, do you mind just giving a brief explanation on this item, Edgar, please?
Is it the annual appropriations limit?
So simply put is, there's a law and a constitutional element in place that affords cities to a spending limit, right? Especially as a specific to the proceeds of taxes. And a limit which prevents you from exceeding that amount of taxes that you can spend towards a general fund budget. So ours, if you can see there, it's at about $218 million, right? I mean, our proceeds of taxes are far less than that number. So for us, it's just a routine process that we go through as part of the budget process every year.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you explaining that. And so if there's no additional comments or questions, we can move on this particular item at this time. Do we have a motion to approve this item?
I'll move.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Everybody, we're okay? Everybody okay with this? Okay, no objections. Seeing none, motion is passed. And that moves us to item number 2 on our budget here, on our on our agenda. That would be a letter of opposition to Senate Bill 549 regarding card rooms. Edgar, do you mind giving a brief presentation on this item, which I think will be important for those in the audience, those listening in? I think it's very important.
Absolutely, Mayor, City Council, members of the public. SB 549 was introduced last week as a gut and amend bill. That bill is a pretty dangerous bill to the City of Commerce. What it seeks to do is restrict the ability of our card room to play certain lawful games. And it really is a mirror of a proposition that failed last year. And so those same interests are trying to circumvent the voters and work a workaround, I guess, or implement a workaround through the legislature that would have a court in Sacramento restrict what types of games we play. That's really, the best way that I could say it. Right now it's in judiciary, headed to the Appropriations Committee, and it is very fluid, but we know that we are adamantly opposed, and we request the City Council and members of the public, all stakeholders, support in helping us to defeat SB 549 for the aforementioned reasons. Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to address any questions should you have them.
No, thank you. Appreciate the brief description of that. And basically what we're going to be doing is approving a letter authorizing us to basically oppose this bill, and hopefully we can get all of the others, everybody, that we know, whether it's all of our other members of CELA, and others that are part of the Gaming Cities Coalition. It's extremely important. You all know what happened with the COVID situation that we just went through, the impact it had to all of our card clubs in all of our respective cities, and we'd hate to see something like this now affect us. We didn't even have an opportunity to, in essence, celebrate getting a 20-year moratorium that was just signed by the governor, and less than 2 weeks, and now we have a bill basically, trying to outlaw some of the games that are being played in many of these card clubs, and that could have a devastating impact on the rest of the community, on our communities and other surrounding communities. So it's extremely important that we take a position of opposition to this particular bill. So if there's no additional comments, or if there's any comments or questions you may have, this would be the time to do so. If not, a motion to approve would be in order.
Mr. Mayor, I would just like to, echo your sentiments and just, remind the community, once we start our efforts, if we start a big campaign in opposition, that we will once again need the participation of the community. We had a major, huge movement the first time where members of the community and our employee family came out with us to various hearings to oppose the bills. And, like, as you mentioned, we got to see, never in our wildest dreams did we think that we would ever have to be in the place where we got to see a day in the life of the City of Commerce without the Commerce Casino. And we got a whole year of it. So we got to see the devastating blow that that had to our economy, our finances. So, I just want to encourage the community, once we, start our campaign in opposition, to please, come out and support us and help us oppose this bill. And I will definitely be reaching out to our colleagues in the Cela region to definitely support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. If there's no additional comments or questions, a motion would be in order to approve item number 2. I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Everybody okay with this item? Okay, we have everybody's okay? And motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And for the benefit of those in the audience, there are updated draft versions of the letter available for members of the public as well as on the council dais. And then now we'll transition away from the concurrent special and deal with item number 3 scheduled as item number 14, or when we get to item number 14 on the regular. If it's okay with the City Council?
All right, great.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but item
Yeah,
number
but-
3 on the special
On the
is
special.
budget, but it's also 14 on the regular, so when we get to 14, we'll deal with it. If okay with the council, yeah, we'll do 7 and 11.
Yeah,
and then,
let's start with 7. Thank
yeah,
you.
and then regular schedule 12.
Got it.
Sorry for the confusion, council. So I believe Ms. Neela was about to walk up here and provide us with an update on number 7, and she's also thrilled to be speaking on item number 11, Eastern Bus Hub Acceptance.
Mayor, good evening, council. You have a question?
Actually, if you don't mind, I believe that there may have been some questions related to it, and I just want to make sure that you give us a little bit brief presentation on the item then.
Questions related to item 7, award of a construction contract to Green Giant Landscape for Civic Center landscape renovation and demonstration garden project?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So the item had come before the council previously to approve a new project as part of the CIP for the current fiscal year. And as part of that project was this one in particular, to start doing turf replacement in certain strategic areas, and for several reasons. One is aesthetics, to improve the landscape areas around city facilities. This is our very first turf replacement project, which would start on the small grassy area that is up against the City Hall building on this side of the walkway that separates Rosewood Park from city facilities. It would wrap around the backside of this building, both sides of the grassy area leading up to main library would be the new learning garden area with little pathways and markers and an educational signage on what the plants are. They're all going to be drought tolerant, appropriate for the climate here. That's going to be low maintenance, low water usage, and an educational opportunity for children and the parents. And then it's going to wrap around and continue through the around the building of the senior center, and it will have a new plaza in the front inclusive of this project. So right now we have a lot of pieced together pieces of concrete and patched areas, and all of that's going to get improved, replaced, and it's just going to be a really beautiful spot for people to kind of sit and enjoy the new landscaping. So that's a summary of the project that we're proposing here.
Yeah, I think that was it, and I think it was more a refresher. I remember this, and this has been
Yes.
quite some time, and I thought we had forgotten
Yes.
about it. But
And this is the one also that we have the Central Basin Municipal Water District grant for $50,000, and that part of the monies for the project are going to go towards the learning garden area that's going to be in front of the main library.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate the information on that, and I really didn't have any specific questions.
Sure.
I actually wanted more of a, if you could review it with us and go over it so that we can kind of refresh our memories
Yeah.
on this whole project. So I thought it was great. It just kind of sat there for a while and we hadn't done anything with it, and I thought it would add. Did it, by any chance, I know we talked about also including a little bit of a cafe or something outside of the library, and I don't know where that went. I know we had initially had some discussion about that, but I don't know that we actually included it as part
I'm
of
sorry,
this.
did you say cafe?
Kind of like where we're
or-
gonna have an area where you can have some coffee and stuff.
The stone table. So it's not a part of the turf replacement,
Okay.
but the stone table that we discussed out there outside the senior center, right?
No, it wasn't outside the senior center. I thought this was outside the entrance to the library.
That
we
is.
talked about maybe having where coffee could be served, drinks for
Yes.
folks that come to the library.
That's the senior library plaza project,
That-
right? Or
yeah,
the
That was
There
back
is
in the
a-
Beatrice era.
There's a new
While
project as part of the new CIP list for fiscal year 23-24, and that's the area that, if approved tonight, we would be working on that project, and it is an extension of the main central library with the replacement of the two currently temporary painted white panels that would then become glass doorways, glass windows, open up to that area, and it would be an extension to the outside where you
Okay.
could serve outdoors refreshments. And,
Okay, so it
yes.
isn't part of this, so it's
Not
it's
part of this
your
project.
CIP.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Thank
I have
you.
a quick question.
Yes.
Mayor, thank you.
Councilwoman?
I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but the approval of the turf replacement, how long does the turf last?
It can last up to 20 years. There's maintenance involved, obviously, and it's not like there's going to be huge patches of turf, artificial turf. There's going to be patches of artificial turf, and there's going to be areas that are more DG, compacted soil type, with drought-tolerant plants and various, eye-catching kind of flowers. So it's going to be mixed up. We're not going to see like a whole area of just artificial turf.
Okay, and so also when, let's just say it starts to damage a little bit on the edges,
Yes.
do we have someone that can fix that from our staff?
Yes, not in-house necessarily. That would be something that we would be contracting out, but there would be a warranty on the
Okay.
material and the installation. And then we would be looking to have someone that would be available to be able to, patch over the years as
Mm-hmm.
part of our maintenance.
And the warranty lasts how long?
About 12 months.
12 months? Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Councilmember Rebollo.
Gina, refresh my memory. Is this the same, did we talk about this about a month or two ago where I had asked about,
The rotunda?
yeah, this is it, right?
Yes.
So I know that one of the questions that I asked was about the warranty, but also, I mean, let's face it, we're gonna get kids riding their bikes on it, right? So then, what then? I mean, 12 months is good, but it's after that year, like, what is that gonna look like? The recurring cost of the maintenance on it?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what would that look like, and what would the wear and tear look like if we're getting like kids on their bikes on it? I
Yeah,
know that
I'm
that's
not-
one of my questions that I had.
Yeah, where there's going to be patches of artificial turf, I haven't really seen regular usage of bikes.
Okay, so then I'm
So-
confused. Then it was part
Exactly.
of the walking path that I was talking about.
Correct.
I believe
Right?
so.
Yeah.
Okay,
You were
so this
talking
is-
about the asphalt replacement. I
Okay,
think, right?
so then it's not the same one.
No problem. We have lots of projects.
Yeah, it's not the same
I
one.
try to
then.
keep them straight too.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I guess back to, Councilwoman Garcia's point. I would like to see, and you don't have to do it now, but maybe through email for us. What is the wear and tear cost gonna look like after the warranty expires? Just to get a kind of a ballpark figure of how much we're gonna be spending on because that it is gonna damage. So
Sure. And there's offset costs too.
Yeah.
We'll have less maintenance. We'll have less water usage. There's other
Yeah.
things to consider in total.
okay, thank you so much.
Okay, not a problem.
Thank you, and if there's no additional comments or questions, a motion would be in order to approve item number 7.
So moved.
I'll
We have a
second.
motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we're good. Motion passes. Thank you. We'll move to next item, which would be item number 11. Gina, I think that is you too. Yes, item number 11. And again, I pulled it because I thought there might be some additional questions related to the project, and I think it was more related to have all of the items under this project been completed? So can you
Yes.
take us through and walk us through that in case there's any additional questions that members of the councils may have on it?
Certainly, I mean, I need to clarify that the whole point of this, every time we complete a project, we have to bring it back to council to accept it as the contractor has completed their scope of work under contract. And in this particular situation, CEM, the contractor under agreement for this project, has completed their work. And in order to release their 5% retention, which we withhold on all public works construction projects, council would need to accept it. We would then record that with Los Angeles County, and we would be able to release that retention. They did complete everything that they were under contract to complete, which included mainly was the bus hub station, lighting that we added to the project. They've done the pavement has been completed there, striping has been completed. Everything that they were under contract has been completed.
Okay. Councilwoman? I believe you may have had some questions on this item. And I think it was the lighting that you were...
Yeah, the lighting. So the lighting's from Gilson Street from Stevens to Gilson Street, that's been completed, is that what you said?
Are
I
we
think this is
referring
the-
to Eastern, not this one that still needs, Commerce Way needs 2 more lights installed, so that's not
Oh, Eastern and Harbor,
completed yet?
right,
But on Eastern, it is completed.
okay.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
One more question, just a second. Sorry.
Yes.
We just have a short minute here. Can you explain to me the installation of the bus shelters, information and display system
I'm sorry.
on your analysis? Can you just go over that really quick as a summary?
Under the analysis,
Second paragraph. Can you just clarify that paragraph for me?
clarify the paragraph, the work included but not limited to the installation of bus shelters,
Yes,
the information kiosk display system.
yes, ma'am.
So that was part of transportation. Claude, do you have anything in response to?
I'm sorry, good evening, Council. You had a specific question regarding the kiosk?
Yeah, can you just give me a summary on it, just to explain to me a little more in detail, please?
Yeah, what the kiosk is designed for, provides passengers updated on our schedule, ETA, the next bus arrival, as well as additional information. There's going to be route changes or upcoming events. All this is programmed through the kiosk to update the community regarding the service, whether we're going to be shut down for a holiday or the bus will be 10 minutes late or the next arrival time. The kiosk is used to inform individuals answer questions regarding our particular schedules.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Sorry. No problem. If there is no additional comments or questions on this item, a motion would be in order to approve the item.
So moved.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Okay, it looks like motion passes unanimously. Okay, that takes us to scheduled matters. We'll move to item number 12, presentation, update from our Sheriff's Department regarding public safety in the City of Commerce. Good evening, Sergeant.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. On the screen, you'll see Part 1 crimes from January to June 24th. This is for the City of Commerce. Aggravated assaults, we had 3. Robberies, we had 2. Burglaries, we had 11. Other thefts, 25. Auto thefts, 25. and we didn't have any arsons. On the next slide, you will see a comparison of Part 1 crimes from June 1st through the 24th with other nearby cities, Cudahy, Maywood, and East LA. You will see assaults, Commerce had 3, Cudahy had 9, Maywood had 10, East LA had 37. Robberies, Commerce had 2, Cudahy had 1, Maywood had 2, East LA had 9. Burglaries, Commerce had 11, Cudahy had 1, Maywood didn't have any, East LA had 10. Other thefts, Commerce had 25, Cudahy had 1, Maywood had 4, East LA had 41. Auto thefts, Commerce had 25, Cudahy had 11, Maywood had 8, East LA had 43. Arsons, Commerce had 0, Cudahy had 0, Maywood had 1, East LA had 1. And on the side, you could see the comparison with the area and the population of each responding city. Now I will go over with Commerce arrests. In June, Commerce had 21 misdemeanor arrests and 21 felony arrests. And most importantly, I know we're all going to be celebrating 4th of July celebration. Want to remind everyone of fireworks safety. There's zero tolerance for the use and sale of illegal fireworks in the county of Los Angeles. If you are caught in possession or handling illegal fireworks, you may be facing significant fines and criminal prosecution. As you could see on this flyer, there's some examples of illegal fireworks that are not to be used. Cherry bombs, bottle rockets, skyrockets, mortars, M80s, M100s, and firecrackers. All fireworks can cause personal injury and destruction of property if not handled correctly. Safe and sane fireworks may not be legal in the city, so obviously wherever you're going to go and spend your 4th of July, make sure that you check before you get there. To report, make sure we call 911 or contact the nearest sheriff station, which would be East LA Sheriff Station. I would strongly discourage people to make reports on Crime Stoppers at this time, because by the time those are viewed, it will be most likely after 4th of July. So I strongly encourage the community, if there's anything like that going, to please call law enforcement. I'll take any questions.
Question, council member?
Thank you so much, Sergeant. First of all, thank you for your report. Thank you for your dedicated work to this community. There's a lot of work that goes seen, but a whole lot unseen. And I really do thank you for your commitment to the betterment of this community, to the safety of this community. I've had businesses call me and just really praise you and the work that you do and how committed you are to making sure that our businesses are safe. So I wanted you to hear that too, that you're doing a great job. So please don't leave us.
Thank you.
Not that she's leaving us, guys, but I'm just saying, please don't leave us. Second is, what is our fine for illegal fireworks? I don't remember if we raised it last year or we talked about raising it, and do we know what the fine is?
It hasn't been raised. I believe it's still the $1,000 fine.
That's it. Okay. And it's, I mean, obviously it's too late to work on that, but I would like to see us work on that for next year. $1,000 is fine, but I just think it's, for some people, especially the way our legal system is working right now, right? They're like, yeah, whatever, go to court, they'll throw it away, and let's pop more illegal fireworks. So let's talk about, raising that fine. I think it's something that is very much necessary. I think every single one of us has heard what it sounds like outside. It sounds like it's just ridiculous. I mean, these I don't even know what they use, but it like shakes the whole house. It's going off like at midnight, 1 a.m, and it's like these big explosions where I'm like, okay, is that a firework or did something explode, like a business explode or something? So, it's a super inconvenience, obviously, to us as people, to our pets. I am a pet owner, and my poor dog goes crazy. We have neighbors that have babies. So I just really, really would like to see, as much as we could, suppression on, just driving around the streets that we hear that have illegal fireworks. And I know that when we call it in or we let you know, it happens, but I wanted to stress that even more because I've been hearing some really aggressive fireworks, worse than last year. And just, if we could have really good suppression of just, those streets when people call it in, and those are usually the same streets that are lighting those illegal fireworks. But you guys, there's only so much that you can do, so I understand that. But I think, it's been really wild. But thank you again. I really do appreciate all the work that you and the team are doing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sergeant, yes, thank you.
Councilwoman Garcia?
Sergeant, thank you for doing a great job. My question is, are we prepared for the 4th of July, and how many troops are we having out there? Vehicles?
So how many vehicles on one shift, PMs or earlies?
Well, do
or-
we have a schedule for our patrols to be out there throughout the whole time?
So we have patrol units 24/7, so we have them on day shift, PMs, and early mornings. So we will have units out.
Here in the City of Commerce?
Yes, in the City of Commerce.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Linus?
Thank you, Mayor. Sergeant, thank you for the presentation. Really appreciate it. As Councilwoman Rebollo said, obviously we hear the fireworks, and I know it's not specific to the City of Commerce, it's happening all over. But I think the City of Salinas did something a couple of years ago as far as raising prices and just some other strategies and tactics that they use to help. So I'll send those along just based on what I read. I did want to refer back to, if you can go back to the slide that showed the comparison between us and other cities. So I know you guys are doing some great work, you guys being the sheriffs, but when I look at Commerce compared to Cudahy and Maywood, obviously we're higher, and I think there's different factors. One of them may be geographic. Can you give your thoughts on why our crime may be higher than those cities?
Well, the biggest thing is we have two big shopping centers. We have Commerce Center, which is in the border of Commerce and East LA. So we get a lot of the East LA, which would be their criminals coming into
Right.
Commerce to commit the crimes. So Commerce Center is one of the biggest one. And then we have a Citadel, which is a big shopping center, which a lot of our burglaries and auto thefts actually happen there.
So would you say that the lion's share of the numbers that we're seeing here are related to the Citadel and the Commerce shopping center?
Yes, I could tell, because I've done it before, previously on the other previous presentation where I went to
Yeah.
see why our thefts were high, and I noticed it was Citadel, and then we conducted that Citadel operation to try and, make an arrest, and we made 3 arrests during that suppression. Obviously, it shows that, yes, there are certain places and that people go and continue to commit the same. Like the Commerce Center, target seems to be hit every single day.
Yeah.
And they do have loss prevention officers, and they do try to call, when they see someone coming in, that it's just a continuance, that people go back where they know. Commerce Center has about 16 entrance and exits. So you can imagine if they go and commit their crime, they have 16 ways to come in and out. And if you're responding, you have 2 units, you're only going to take 2 entrance and exits. So we will be talking to Citadel and the Commerce Center, try to encourage them to get the flock cameras like we are, which will help us if there's a vehicle involved with the license plate reader. So that is something that we're going to be discussing with them because it is their private property. It'll benefit them and it'll benefit law enforcement in solving crime.
Sure, that makes sense. Thank you. And just as it relates to, I know you talked about the cameras and the license plate readers. Are there any other strategies or tactics that we're currently employing to prevent crime in those areas, or?
There is.
I mean, and you don't have to
I'm
go
not
into
get-
detail,
yeah.
but just,
There is.
There's-
I won't obviously be disclosing, but there is other
okay.
items that we're taking as a law enforcement agency to try and reduce those crimes.
Okay. All right, well, thank you so much, and thank you to the department for your great work, and appreciate what you're doing to keep our community safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all for the questions that you asked. The numbers, I was going to do a follow-up. I'm glad you asked the question, so I don't have to ask that question. The M80, the M100s, I believe in your reference, I believe what we're hearing now is probably the M100s, possibly, I don't know, but I've noticed the same thing. I've noticed the same thing. I mean, it just really is super loud. And I believe what you were referring to last time around, we had a discussion on this, was we actually just put out, I think it was, we publicized it is what we did. We put out a flyer, just getting the word out that it's illegal and the fines. I think that's what we ended up doing, but we didn't actually increase the fine or anything like that. But, you know, hopefully maybe down the road, that's part of what we should take into consideration. Just for the last meeting, I also asked that a presentation that was presented related to public safety. I won't go over it, I won't be redundant, but there was a presentation made by the Beverly Hills Police Chief in which they use a specific technology to help address some of the issues that they're having. And I'm hoping that you'll look at that presentation. You'll also share it with the Citadel and also with the Commerce Shopping Center. And hopefully some of that, part of that, can be implemented and used to help reduce the number of incidents that we're having at both of the locations. So I hope you take a look at it. I asked previously our city manager to forward that information on. City manager, did that take place? You're sending it now? All right, I would like a meeting with both of those entities in the future where we can actually have some discussion and review that presentation so that I want to see if we can actually, I want to see if it's doable for us to implement some of those technologies. And, you know, I know that we have some of that in place and we may not necessarily use it for that, but we've also allocated some additional funding, and maybe if, you know, after some of those discussions, we might be able to make some additional adjustments. So yeah, I would appreciate a follow-up on that. And I too would like to thank you for the great work and your team out there that you're all doing out there. I know it's a challenging area, and we've got a lot of industrial businesses here, and it's tough to keep track of everything and be everywhere all at once. But we appreciate all of the good work you're doing out there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so let's move on here. And now we'll move to item number 13, Second Amendment to Agreement with the Athens Services for Residential Refuse and Recycling Services. Tina.
All right, so before you is a resolution asking council to consider approving a Second Amendment to the agreement with Athens Services for Residential Recycling Services that includes the following terms. This would be a new 5-year term effective July 1st, 2023, with a one-time 5-year extension to be approved by City Council upon mutual consent of both parties. Second, a rate increase of 6.19% for both CPI and disposal increases that have occurred, and that also would be effective July 1st, 2023, and that amount would equate to $91,726.41 per month. Third would be a change in the language and the basis for future annual rate increase request. And that would be the current language in the agreement would be replaced with a trash CPI plus 1% instead of the existing language, which currently has two somewhat convoluted paragraphs, one for CPI and one for disposal costs. We want to simplify that and replace that language with a trash CPI, which is very specific to the industry, plus a 1%. And it would be approved by City Council for future rate adjustments. That concludes the report. I would like to say that Athens is present. Mr. Gary Clifford here representing Athens. If council would like to ask any questions or have comments directed to Athens.
Is there any comments or questions of the members of the city council? We have no questions. We thank them for being here, but I did want to have a follow-up. I had a conversation with our city manager earlier, and I think that we had really had discussions about pickup, trash pickup. You know, we don't really, the city, I know that we call and we see something out there, we'll call staff and they get diverted from some of the things that they're already working on. And sometimes they'll go out and pick it up and they usually respond. But one of the things that was highlighted in a dinner that I had, and actually, Gary, it was with yourself, I believe, you made reference to, I believe it was the city of Walnut, that you had a program where you have that incorporated as part of the contract, where you guys pick up, items that are left out. And that was interesting to me because, I've seen some of the stuff that we've seen out in our community, and I'm constantly sending stuff. And Gina, I'm really sorry because I know I put the burden on your team over there, and you have to shuffle and send people out to address things. But it really did catch my attention that I thought it would be important to incorporate it as part of our agreement. Now, in your discussions with our staff, I believe that it wasn't included as part of our 5-year. I think you meant more for a larger, longer-term contract. And Gary, if you'd like, please come on up. But I believe that there was some subsequent discussion, and I think you guys have agreed to include it in the 5-year contract. And I just wanted to make sure that that was incorporated into this contract that we're looking at now.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. My name is Gary Clifford. I'm here with Bill and Allison tonight. This is your trash trio. You have the dream team here tonight for you. In your under the residential program, you have 2 programs in the city: a residential program and a commercial program. Under the residential program, you currently have a bulky item pickup where you call us and we do come and pick it up, and that is incorporated in here. As I was talking to you and to your team before, we do have cities where we incorporate both residential and commercial. It's different here commercially because you have a few haulers, and it would be difficult if one hauler dumped some work and then we had to go pick it up. So we're working on that over time. I think tonight will just be the first step in a longer journey, and then we can meet and discuss future terms for different residentials as 1383 and other things come up. But we have your back currently on the residential bulky items, and we also assist the city when they have issues that come up too.
Okay, what I'm getting, I understand that we have that in the bulky item pickup, but I believe right now residents have to call and schedule, right?
Right, but if you call, then we'll pick those up also. Like residents, if somebody calls in and they call in during business hours, we'll come and pick it up.
Okay.
If somebody has a bulky item, they can call in and schedule that, and we'll pick it up.
Okay. What I'm getting at is in the conversation, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought in the conversation that I overheard, and we were sitting at dinner, and I was it got my attention because you were saying or made reference to the fact that I think in Walnut that you already have guys out there picking up trash, and they would see something and they in essence would pick it up. And I mean, instead of having to generate somebody to spot it and go out and pick it up, and I was like, wow, I need to go out there. I want to see how Walnut is doing, how it looks. It was interesting to me.
Mr. Mayor, respectfully, we don't pick up Walnut, so it may have been another
My
conversation.
apologies.
But I will tell you that the issue of just picking something up without being called is that could be somebody else's pickup for something. It could be Salvation Army, it could be Goodwill, it could be something else, and it becomes difficult. And then we've had experiences where we pick something up that we see, and it was, Uncle Tim's antique dresser that became a $20,000 value to somebody. So there are ways to work through it. I believe your staff was very diligent in making sure that we enhanced the current program in this, And as we move forward, we'll work on other programs.
All right. Maybe we can put an ad hoc committee, and this will be something that we can do, I think, after to address some of this. I think
Sure.
there's some improvements that can be made. I appreciate that it's included, the bulky item pickup, which we had previously. But I just want to refine that so that we can be a little more efficient in making sure that things don't sit out there for too long of time. It happens all the time. I mean, I see things out there, drive around, and, you know, things seem to sit out there for a while, and people just don't call them in and stuff, you know, and that's probably part of the problem there. City manager, were you going to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I was just going to share that maybe to bridge the gap, right? What we had discussed is that, for lack of a better word, right, like illegal dumping that belongs to nobody in the residential zone be perhaps picked up by Athens as part of this contract upon request from the city through a clearly established zone, right? Maybe with an exhibit. Would it be fair to say that that is a feature of this agreement that the city council's recommended to approve this evening?
Yes.
The Mayor, does that, I think
Yeah,
that,
you know what? I think that probably would do. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure, because I know currently, well, no, actually, it's still, that's what we were doing previously. You know, we call it in and we get somebody to come out and pick it up. But I just want to fine tune that, and it's gonna require multiple items. One, an educational process to let the community know. We got to inform them. We got to make sure that we keep reminding them that all they need to do is call and schedule it, and the items will be picked up. And the other part of it is, you know, and we've had this discussion before too. I mean, we're out there too as a city, driving around the city, not us as residents, not us as council, but our own city staff is also out there driving. I want to make sure these things, if they see something, I want to make sure they report it, get it called in, so that we can follow up and make sure things are getting picked up on a timely manner out there. So, you know, we can have a follow-up on this and further refine exactly the adjustments that we need to make. But again, Gary and your team, I want to thank you guys for being here this evening, for taking the questions and clarifying some of the discussion that we're having related to that. For me, I know that we see it a lot out there, and I just want to make sure we properly address it. I know it would be well received by members of the community. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. If there's no additional comments or questions, a motion would be in order to receive and, to approve this.
So
item.
moved.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
I'll second.
I'll second.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Looks like motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, item number 14. And this would be on item number 3 on our other agenda. So this item number 4 would be the adoption of an annual operating 2023-2024 fiscal year budget. Vilko.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. This evening, before you is the city's operational adoption of the 23-24 budget. I have a slide presentation. We'll go over pretty much the presentation that the city council was privy to last Thursday, with some injection of the budget workshop follow-ups. You have myself here this evening, our city manager, and all the executives representing each of the departments that can respond to any questions or concerns that you may have. The ask tonight is the City Council will consider for approval the resolution adopting the city's proposed operating budget for fiscal year 23-24. The plan slightly modified what was presented, but as you saw last Thursday night, you do have a projected surplus of $6.5 million that's being projected, and then that is also inclusive of all employee green packets impacts that you have been privy to over the last few months. And also, you'll see in the next 2 slides the revenues over expenditures and how we got to the $6.5 million surplus. And that is exclusive of some capital outlay and deferred maintenance costs that I will be bringing back to you probably at the second meeting in July. As you can see there, we're looking at an initial projection of just over 75 million, an initial general fund appropriation projection of just under 64 million. Again, taking into account the projected labor agreement cost of about 3.6 million, providing us with a projected surplus of just over 6.5. So last year, the City Council adopted a general fund budget of $60.478 million. During the course of the year, City Council approved on 2 occasions a budget revisit back in September of almost 1.5 million. And in addition to that, we had a mid-year budget review in March of this year, a slightly less figure that you see, just under 219,000. Taking into account, increases that we're pretty much out of control or don't have control over is the LA County Fire contract and LA County Sheriff's contracts. Those add up to about a $1.5 million increase. We have some public works contracts that we're legally obligated to, so that increase equates to about 154,000. And utility increases of just over 192,000. That would give you the general fund appropriation projection that I presented. That's just under 64 million. And that is exclusive of the department request that we presented last Thursday night. And I'll go over them briefly. Under administration, we're looking at an upgrade in the senior office assistant position to an office specialist position. Under administration, we did a budget workshop follow-up, and that's specific to bringing on a media specialist position. That would equate to about $115,000 annually. We're also looking at, or at least what was mentioned, would be the transition from a quarterly Commerce Connect to one of a monthly. They're providing 12 issues during the course of the year. That would be an additional $37,840. And I believe we're also discussing potential webcast as it relates to relevant community subjects. Under human resources, there was a request for a full-time administrative technician and a full-time office specialist. And then there was some discussion back on Thursday regarding the reinstatement of the YES program. We're looking at approximately $225,000 price tag. As you can see, typically the agenda item will come back for you. So you can either, if it's a city council desire, set aside some funding now, knowing that there could be a generous surplus at the end of this evening. Even after you take into account, a majority of these items, the HR department would come back sometime in November, December with a detailed delineation of the program, and that time you can make the decision to appropriate the necessary funds. Economic development and planning, you have 3 positions that have been requested. One, the city planner, one, the full-time permit tech, and then a full-time code enforcement officer that is being converted from part-time code enforcement officers that we have currently vacant. Under Public Works, we have a request for a full-time facility maintenance specialist and 6 full-time street maintenance helpers. And then 1 part-time senior office assistant, and that is just a cost center change or a move from one department to another. We have some budget workshop follow-ups there. As you can see, Bandini Park Senior Center roofs, these are going to be included as part of the CIP that will be, that was actually presented last Thursday and then tonight for adoption. As you can see, there was also a request there as far as Caltrans, what off and on ramps we control, and then the southbound eastern exit project. So we only have currently a maintenance agreement for the I-5 Washington, right, exit. But as you can see, there is one that's going to be recommended specific to the southbound eastern project as it comes to fruition. Greenwood Watcher traffic calming, it's been a sore topic for a lot of people in that area. The analysis will be presented to the Traffic Commission next month. And then another request was the scheduling, right, that goes on throughout the city as it relates to public right-of-way and sidewalk maintenance. And our current director there is working on pairing teams of 2 in designated zones to address just that, trash, weeds, and hazardous waste as the main priorities. Under library, the request is a full-time librarian and then 1 part-time library page. One of the budget workshop follow-ups under that category was looking at the opening of Rosewood Library on Saturdays. That would entail approximately a $45,000 appropriation. As you can see there, it highlights what it looked like prior to COVID. So the new request would only just be the 1 part-time librarian at 20 hours a week. Under Parks and Recreation, we have a request for a full-time recreation supervisor, 1 part-time senior office assistant, and 2 part-time class instructors specific for performing arts. And then we had some budget workshop follow-ups, family and adult weekend excursions. We'll come back at a later date to discuss that. As you can see, there was a request for an additional sports night. We did some research specific to the LA Football Club. As you can see, pardon the pun, late in the game for this season. But staff is asking that we look at it in more detail to actually put into play something extravagant for next year. The restatement of the Miss Commerce program would come back at approximately $200,000, and they would, the staff could come back with some viable alternatives. And under travel sports budget, those details have already been provided to the City Council. Under finances, 2 part-time central stores assistant. That's kind of a misnomer. It just happens that we have that classification, and it might be revisited. But these 2 individuals would address a lot of the digitizing files and documents that we have in storage. So just to give you an idea, this is just a recap of if the City Council was to move forward with the budget adoption this evening, and inclusive of all the departmental requests that were presented to you last Thursday, exclusive of any of the budget workshop elements that Council raised, it would take the projected surplus from 6.5 down to just under $5.5 million. So we're here to answer any questions, comments the City Council may have. And listen, you're not obligated to make heavy lifting decisions as it relates to any of the positions that you've seen here, and or any of the budget workshop inquiries. What we're asking the City Council to do is to appropriate. And let me just go back. What we're asking you to do is appropriate the $63,962,083 that would then allow the city to move forward, going into the new fiscal year. So that would entail the 2022-23 budget that was adopted, And again, the two meetings that city council made decisions on, and then all those line items below, but pretty much contractually, legally obligating us to pay for those. So that would give us at least that to move forward on. The other items, you can make decisions on this evening, or you can defer them to a future date. That is the discretion of the city council.
Is there any questions, comments, Councilmember Rebollo?
Just for clarification, you're saying that you suggest that we approve the general fund appropriation projection, but not the positions not the additional positions that the departments requested? Is that what I understand?
What I'm asking is that minimally, that the city council appropriate the 63,962,083 so that we can move with an adopted budget going into the new fiscal year, right? The other ones are discretionary, and, you can make, like I said, those decisions this evening. Staff is here to answer any questions you may have to make you feel a little bit more comfortable with any of those decisions. Or, we can, again, just defer to a future date and let you digest, all the information that's been presented to you and make decisions in the future, so.
I like the recommendation. I think it would allow us to have further discussion on the other items, which I think we'll have more questions on. And obviously, there's presentations made on, for instance, let's give the example of the Miss Commerce pageant. I believe you mentioned the cost would be about $200,000, but you can present some options, maybe different options on that. But, and I'm sure that, at a later date, and we can schedule it for, call for a special meeting so we can do a budget, and then we can kind of get into more of the discussions, and that'll at least allow us to have specific discussions related to each of those items.
So I think my only, my question would be, right, as we're talking about like programming or how our city looks and the need for us to, I don't know, clean the medians, right? I see that there's about 6 full-time public works positions, I think, that are needed, right?
Correct.
So I think my question would be, which ones are the ones that are time sensitive and needed the most? Because I would hate for us to not approve them today if there's really a need, and then we are the ones that continue to say things like, hey, this is not looking good, what's going on, why aren't we cleaning, why aren't we doing this, why do our parks look this way, blah, 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 right? So if that, and I guess I'm trying to find the right way to say it. I think today I would highly recommend that we look at what is the departmental needs that we think need to be done today and not wait another month or two while we go back and forth as to look at our budget. Things like the Miss Commerce pageant, obviously, like that's something that can come back to us. But I'm talking more specific to departmental needs, especially as it relates to the aesthetics and the infrastructure of our city. So that's my only concern is if there's a staffing need and that we need to address today and approve today, then that's something that we should discuss. Especially because I know I've been one of the ones that complains a lot about why is this looking this way? And, and the continued response is we don't have enough staff. And we have the summer that is in full-blown summer right now, and our facilities are being used a lot. I live right across the street from one of them. And the last thing I want to hear is that we don't have enough staff to meet the needs of the use of our facilities, right? And we can't continue to put it on staff if we're not staffing it enough. So I think that's my only question is which ones are the ones that are needed now? I guess that would be it.
Councilmember Linus, did you have some comments, questions?
No, I'll echo that sentiment. I think we should look at the departmental requests, right? And I feel like the answer is going to be, well, what does the city council want? So I definitely want staff's recommendation, but I think we should go slide by slide and have a discussion, in my opinion.
I agree with Mayor, Mr. Romero here. I think that we should just approve the appropriate projection and then revisit the rest of the departments so that we can have more detailed information, maybe an itemized budget as to how we're going to use all these employees. For example, the library, I know they're requesting some staffing, and I think that we should focus on opening up the branches on Saturdays. So how can we do that with the staff that they're requesting and things like that? So going back to just, I agree with the mayor. Thank you.
So let me ask, so for me, when you said there's the need, right? Are we talking, there's for me, a clear-cut difference between immediate need, right? And again, what can be pushed off, right? So I think that's what you're leading to, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can go slide by slide for each of these departments. Each of them can come up, discuss the wants or the asks, and then, then this is a determination of the city council if you want to move forward on it.
Right. I think specific for me, like I said, it's just if the need is in public works, right? I think that's one that sticks out the most because I was like, whoa, 6 full-time, I think it's maintenance. And I think that's been one of the biggest complaints that either I've had or the community has had. And so if there really is a need there, right, that we are going to need to address with the hiring of these staff, then that's something that we should consider today. I'm okay with putting off the other positions if there's not a huge need there. But I mean, I would say that there is a need in almost every department, right? But again, I understand that we might need more information. I've met with you, I've met with department, but I think we should consider where the biggest needs are right now and not continue to put it off. That is just my recommendation, and that's what I would suggest that we do. But that's me. Thank you.
I appreciate your comments, and the other factor right now is that obviously we have the vice mayor who's not here, which puts us on a situation of a difference of opinion here too. But that's why I'm recommending that we do the recommendation, which Vilko was saying. Let's move forward. Let's approve the budget. Let's come back, and I'm not saying put it off indefinitely. I'm ready to start meeting next week. We want to call for a special meeting. Yeah, I know it's important, and I know they're important, but I also know that there's additional information that I think we need, a little bit more detailed information related to the requests to be made, and hopefully we can get a little creative in terms of how we address these future needs. So I think that'll allow us, but I'm ready when everybody's available for a special meeting where we can focus on the remaining items and we can go through them and we can get a couple more questions answered and come up with some creative ways to get this addressed. That's it. But I absolutely do agree with you with the needs you're talking about. I mean, I'm constantly making calls. I usually send it to Edgar and Vilko, they're the first two, and I'm sending out pictures. We need to get this done. We need to get this cleaned up, and we need to get updates on that. And I realize that we're also shorthanded. So absolutely, I agree that we need to fill those positions to properly address them. But I'm ready. Hey, next week, following week, let me know. Let's schedule a special meeting. Let's get it done. But let's go through this process, I think. And instead of concentrating on the whole thing, because right now, I mean, I have follow-ups. You made reference to LA County Fire contract. It's out of our control. We can't control that. LA County Sheriffs, it's out of our control. Those are the two biggest increases, it looks like, that we have, and yet they're out of our control. For the benefit of the public, those listening in, what is it that's out of control? Why is it that we have no control over that? I think people need to know that. You need to understand that. And I believe it's related to the increases in contracts that they negotiate, right, with the
Correct.
county. So therefore, those costs, then we absorb that because, we have a contract with the Sheriff's Department. We have a contract with the LA County Fire. So those costs then get transferred over to us. But, it's important for people to know that these are, $1 million $150,000. That's for the fire contract. It's going up by that amount. The sheriff's contract, $313,753, a year. So, I mean, we just need to, I think, try to control our expenditures. The problems that we've had in the past is usually related to our expenses. It's not the money that we're generating, the revenue that's coming into the city. It's more related to our expenditures and how we appropriate our monies and where we put it into. So, but I want to have that discussion. Let's have that discussion. I think these things are important. So let's do it. I'm ready to have a meeting next week, the following week, whenever the rest of the council is available. Let's have those discussions and let's go through each of the remaining items so we can make some decisions on this.
And Mayor, I want to just preface this for the people back home, right, that we're not glossing over, the LA County Fire contract number, right? At the budget workshop, all of you made statements as it relates to, the increase. So I subsequently did provide you with the details, right, by fire station and also delineated by personnel. But what I wanted to say is, there was a request for a fire, right, needs assessment similar to the public safety or police law enforcement one that was conducted a few years back. So we're going to proceed with that. We're also going to proceed with, surveying other cities out there, get an idea of, what is being posed upon them, and see if we can put a nice analysis for the city council as it relates specific to that dollar amount. So it gives, a perspective of, what we're paying for, maybe we're what we should not be paying for. But so I wanted to make that point, right? Because I think it's a large enough number that we just can't gloss over.
All right. We okay with that? I would recommend, again, that we approve the general fund appropriation projections at this time. And then the other items, I would like to see us schedule a special meeting to go over each of these items in more detail.
Okay.
So if we want to move forward to appropriate the budget for the amount that's being general fund appropriation projection, then motion would be in order to appropriate the 63, Vilco, correct me if I'm wrong, 63 million, rather, 962.83.
I'd like to motion the appropriation projection. Is that
Okay.
right?
That is correct.
Can I get a second?
We have a motion. Is there a second? I would second that. Let's take a roll call vote on this item. Lina?
Councilmember Garcia? Councilmember Linus?
Yes.
Councilmember Reborn?
Yes?
And Mayor Guimada?
Yes. Thank you. This item is approved, and it's basically as recommended by our finance or assistant city manager and the city manager. And hopefully we can get a immediate meeting as quickly as possible scheduled to address the remaining items.
Absolutely, Mayor. And I would suggest, if possible, if we can get questions from the city council by the end of the week so that we can finalize the presentation. At this point, this is the second sitting where you've seen the departmental requests and we've also further discussed the council ones. So that would be great. And if city council members wanted to do that now, while the department heads are in the room, we could do that, or if we can funnel them through the city manager's office by the end of the week so that we get a good solid presentation together for you for that special meeting or for the July 11th city council meeting.
Okay. I believe in the past, there have been requests related to more specific information related to, I guess, breakdowns from members of the city council. And if we can include that wherever possible so that we can see not only an amount, that's requested, but a breakdown of, hey, we're gonna need whatever the event, whatever the item is, break it down so that we know that for this particular item, you need 3 additional staff that are gonna be working this event, and break it down, and that way we have a good understanding of that, whatever it entails for whatever is being asked.
We provided that for one specific program. I'm not sure that there's a consensus on the council's part to move forward to provide that level of detail for everything, given that it's labor intensive and it may actually hinder what the city's council's intent is with respect to increasing programming, right? And I'll give you an example, right? Crush Sports, we put together a detailed budget. For the most part, we stick to that budget, but then the budget flies out the window when the plane can't take off for mechanical conditions, and now they need to reschedule the flights and get an additional room. So there's just so many moving parts that it's really difficult. And we also don't have the finance department really to put that together for this budget and to be able to meet at July 11th or earlier meeting. But, if the city council issues that directive, we'll make that the standard moving forward. I'm not sure, but the council can correct me if I'm reading the room wrong.
May I say
Understandable.
something? May I say something? I think we need to work on a projected budget and then have an actual budget. All directors should know all this, and they should move forward and be able to give us that information when requested. Thank you.
So we'll have time. I think passing the projected budget, I think is good. But I do understand what you're saying, and I think there's some validity to that. There's a lot of things that do change. But wherever can, let's try to provide some additional information where possible. And this is a great opportunity for each of us to be able to say, hey, I need a little bit more here. Can you please explain some of this or provide some information on any of the items that are pending? So if we can do that, that would be great. And I understand if you're unable to either. And we do understand that you guys are extremely busy, not only in preparing this particular budget that was just presented now, but just a lot of ongoing activity here in the city, related to regular everyday items that you're working on. So considering that, allow us to at least provide any additional information where we want more information. If we can't provide it or we're not asking for it, then I think it would be on us. That would be our fault for not asking for the additional information.
Understood, thank you.
Okay, I think we're good with item 14 for the time being. And we're going to move to item number 15, which would be the approval of capital improvement program for fiscal year 2023-2024. This would be all of our CIP items.
All right, so follow up to our budget study session last Thursday evening where we went through a spreadsheet of 3 categories of projects for a capital improvement program for next fiscal year, 2023-24. The first category were projects that had already been approved by council during this current fiscal year that just need additional funding. Second category would be the recurring ones that we would need, such as engineering support, planning support services, and then there were 18 new projects for council's consideration. And as presented, I wasn't going to go through a presentation again, but I was just going to summarize that and open it up for any questions or comments from council at this time.
Is there any comments, questions related to CIP projects? There was some questions, I believe that city manager, you sent out some emails, I believe, related to some questions raised by the vice mayor. And your recommendation on those comments that he raised?
Well, I believe that Greenwood and Watcher is going to the Traffic Commission. That was my update. I'm sorry?
Cool. Thanks.
Oh, Or is that what we're talking about?
I think
I
so.
was
Yes.
getting there. So Greenwood and Watcher, and then we have Bandini Library roof that's a part of this as well.
Yes.
We've done some initial information seeking on the potential pool project, and that'll be forthcoming at a later date, and we do not have that included here in the CIP.
Okay.
But we are, the ball is rolling a little bit more swiftly with respect to getting that information.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure that we at least cover that. I know you did send out the email, and I know we had a discussion earlier, but just want to make sure we do follow up so that we as a council can make some decisions related to that, how we want to, what it is that we want to do, and where we'd like to see that going, if we want to move forward with something like that. So, okay, so we'll continue on with the rest of the items here then. I think you're done, or were you going to?
Yes, unless council has any questions or comments that you wanted to share, any priorities.
Any comments, questions?
Just
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
I know that we had the workshop and we discussed about, we discussed the senior center roof and the Bandini
And
Park roof.
Bandini.
So I'm happy to see it, in here, so. Yeah,
Yes.
just thank you.
I actually do.
Go ahead, Councilmember Linus.
Just for clarification on line item number 4, the roof repairs, is that for the senior center and Bristow Park?
No, it would, based on the comments received last Thursday from Councilmember Reboyle, we are going to change that to Senior Center and Bandini
Right.
Park Facility
Sure.
as our 2 first priorities for roof replacements.
Got it, but just for
yeah.
clarification for the members of the public and
Yes.
the people that are watching, there is a plan for Bristow Park's
Yes.
facility, right?
Thank you for clarifying that.
There is a
Councilmember.
separate plan to study Bristow Park to come up with options for council consideration to either keep the building and renovate it and see what we can do to expand the use of it, and also as an option for a possible new build. And that would be separately studied and separately brought to council as a standalone item.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and it's pretty high priority. I think it's line item number 5. I just wanted to make it
Yes.
clear to everyone that Bristow Park's facility is a focus for this
Yes.
council. So, thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, no, I wanted to say, yeah, thank you for pointing that out, because I don't want the members of the community to think that we took Bristol Park out of the roof repairs. It's just, if we look at number 5, it's now its own standalone budgeted item. So
Yes.
thank you for that clarification.
And just as a follow-up, because it is important, right now, we don't have any problems with the roof. I mean, it's been repaired where it's, we're not having any big problems with it, are we?
Are we
right now?
talking about Bristow?
Bristol, yeah.
I could never stand on that and say that there are no problems. We address what we can. We've had a contractor come out and patch. We've done our own in-house patching. We prep for the winter every winter time before it starts to rain. We clean the gutters. We try to do everything we can. But unfortunately, the roof is so far beyond its useful life and does need to be replaced. But, I understand council's concern with trying to make a wise decision as to, how much do we put into the building versus a new build, and that you'd want to see, a study done on that and some design options and cost associated with that.
Okay. All right, no, and it is. I know that the cost is pretty extensive, and that's why that raised that. So if we're going to
Yes.
be spending a specific amount of money, maybe it's better off putting it into now looking at a new facility and stuff. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. I guess if there's no additional comments or questions on CIP, we can, the motion would be in order to approve CIP items.
So moved.
I'll second. All right.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay, great. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move to item number 16, would be committee and commission appointments. Lena?
We have a vacancy on Senior Citizens Commission, and it's Councilmember Linus' appointment.
Thank you. I would like to appoint Maria de Los Angeles Barrera to the Senior Citizens Commission.
Great, so we can have a meeting finally.
Thank you, Councilmember. We had some requests from folks out there making comments about that, so that was good. Okay, great. We'll move to ordinances. Item number 17, and that would be the adoption and second reading for an ordinance amending Commerce Municipal Code Title 5 Business Regulations and Licensing, Chapter 5.16 Sidewalk Vending. There will be no presentation on this. It's just for second reading.
It's a second reading. It's the first reading and introduction. The ordinance was unanimously approved at the last regular scheduled council meeting. This is the second reading, and staff recommends adoption and second reading by title only.
Great. So a motion would be in order as recommended by our city clerk. To read by title only. Motion, and can I get a second?
A second.
We will have a motion and a second. All in favor? Great, motion passes.
And I'll read the title. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Commerce amending Commerce Municipal Code Title 5 Business Regulations and Licensing, Chapter 5.16 Sidewalk Vending.
Thank you. And that takes us to City Council and Successor Agency reports. I'll start to my left, Councilmember Rebollo.
I don't have very much to report. I don't remember what I did the last few weeks, but sadly, I do have some sad news. It is with a heavy heart that I report that Commerce raised and native and Commerce hometown hero, Petty Officer First Class Christopher W. Minor, passed away this last week. So Chris was one of our adolescent teens that was running around the park that I would yell at all the time to get off his bike when I was a rec leader at Rosa Park. He later went on to serve his country, proud of the city that raised him, and he became a father of two wonderful young ladies, Braylyn and Ariel, who are part of our Crush program, who plays travel soccer, part of our park program. So I want to extend my deepest condolences to Cynthia, to Braylyn, to Ariel, to the Minor family, to his friends, who were all part of the crew that hung out at Rosewood Park, who are still here in the City of Commerce, who I know are also, grieving. So I want to just extend to the community to keep the Minor family in your prayer, that when you drive by Washington Boulevard, when you see his military banner, that you say a little prayer in your heart, because there is a family that is grieving, there's a community that is grieving. And Mr. Mayor, at this time, I would like to request that we fly our flags at half-mast till about maybe Saturday before our 4th of July celebration, just in honor of our hometown hero who, while didn't die in combat, died on active duty in the United States Navy. And if we can please adjourn in memory today of Petty Officer First Class Christopher Minor. That's all my reports. God bless everybody, and please take care of each other.
Absolutely. So we'll do both of the items that you've requested. Thank you. Councilmember Garcia? Oh, no report? All right. Councilmember Lyons?
Thank you, Mayor. I echo Councilwoman Rebollo's sentiments. My deepest condolences to Cynthia and the Minor family. One thing I did want to share is just recently I participated in a 6-month fellowship with Water Education for Latino Leaders and got to learn more about water rights and systems, as well as some of the complex issues that we're experiencing with water here in the state of California, and some ideas on what we could do to help us sustain just locally. And As part of that, on Saturday, the 24th, the 17th, Saturday the 17th, I co-hosted a water workshop in Paramount with 3 other elected officials in the Southeast. And we had a few speakers. The speakers included Assemblywoman Blanca Pacheco from the 64th District, Supervisor Janice Hahn from the 4th, and Senator Lina Gonzalez from the 33rd District, as well as sessions by subject matter experts Juan Garza, who is on the Central Basin Board of Directors, and also on the board of the Metropolitan Water District, as well as Esther Rojas from WRD. I wanted to communicate that just because over the coming weeks and months, I would like to have conversations with staff and public works on what we could do locally to help just conserve water and just do our due diligence and our duty to kind of, preserve that precious resource. Additionally, I wanted to acknowledge and commend the Montebello Unified School District for recently winning the San Gabriel Valley News Group's Reader's Choice Award for Favorite School District. I know we have a hometown resident, Liliana Magana, who's on the board there, so congratulations and great work. And I also wanted to wish everyone in the community a happy 4th of July. I hope to see many of you there at our Independence Day celebration on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. I really don't have anything to report. Thank you for your comments, and we'll be adjourning in memory of Mr. Minor. I believe that concludes our council meeting. At this point, we are now adjourned. Thank you.